Hi everyone, what's brewing today? Welcome back to iMocha's SIP Skills Intelligence podcast, where we deep dive into workforce transformation, innovation in skills intelligence, talent intelligence, innovation that are happening across the globe in talent strategies. This is episode 3, and the topic for this podcast is empowering the future, the role of L&D in workforce transformation. In this episode, we'll explore how role of L&D is evolving in the context of workforce transformation. What are the innovative L&D strategies that are being adopted by the organizations for this transformation, and how skills management, skill validation are playing the role here? Today we have with us Prasanna, Prasanna Shivakamat. Prasanna heads learning and development at Atos. He's been a driving force behind digital transformation of L&D programs for 100,000 plus employees. Now, this is a rare combination. Like hardly there will be few people in the world, okay, who are who are part of this kind of transformation, and we are fortunate to have Prasanna here. And apart from that, what is more interesting I found about Prasanna is he is reinventing mid-career and sharing everything across his journey. So, if I'm not wrong, like Prasanna has been into industry for almost couple of decades now, and many people, what they do share and contribute back to the society at the time of retirement. But Prasanna is unique. He started sharing mid-career things, and like this is what required by the industry, because mid-career is a combination of old school plus new age innovation. Now, over to Prasanna to introduce himself and his work and journey in this space before we could start. So grab your coffee of iMocha and let's get started. Prasanna, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amit. Thanks for the quick briefing about myself and the context for the podcast as well. And I really want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to come here and share with you and your audience about what's happening in the world of Atos, in the world of learning. And personally, also, I will keep sharing and asking you a few questions as well to understand more from you about iMocha and its plans for 2025. Because it is the beginning of the year, let me also wish you, your team, and the audience who will be watching and listening this podcast a very happy new year and excellent 2025. So if we look at learning and development and my journey in learning and development, before that, I would like to say that for most of my career, I was not into the HR and L&D domain. I was part of the business side, business operations, and doing that till 2015. And while sharing that, I would also like to share the other element, why I keep sharing. Typically, as you said, that most people do that during their retirement age. It's an interesting way of looking at it, because when we say retirement, it is kind of a completion of something. And I see that mid-career is in a way a completion of the old me who I am, or in my first phase of completion and moving towards the second phase. That's from a personal standpoint. If we look at the overall ecosystem in which we all are here, with AI, with new technologies, with new ways of doing things, new ways of learning, I think even there it is important to acknowledge that it is a completion of the old phase, old age, and we are moving and heading towards a new age, which requires new skill sets, which requires new attitudes, which requires new mindsets. So that's the context in which I keep sharing. Not that I am close to retirement or anything, but it is more from completion of the first phase and moving into the second phase in my mid. I am now 45 plus, so other side of 45, you can say. So with that context, I try to play that role. To share more about my journey, I have been in Atos for last 14 years now. Before that, I was with Accenture for 5 years. And before that, in an Indian multinational company, you might have heard about it. Its name is Rolta India Limited. It's in Mumbai, Andheri. Yeah, so 5 years there, 5 years Accenture, and now almost 14 years long tenure I have been with Atos. And within Atos, I got this opportunity to move into learning and development in 2015. And since then, first 5 years, I was heading as a head of L&D for India. And since 2020, I have been the group head of learning and development for overall global Atos. So that's my journey in a nutshell, I would say, Amir.
Sure. Thank you, Prasanna, and wish you everyone at Atos and family a very happy New Year 2025. I missed on saying it earlier. So good, Prasanna. Good to know about this. And Prasanna, like while like before we could jump to the topic, while doing this sharing, I'm sure you would be getting a few responses, few followers, few fans who are like giving you feedback or insights and thanking you. So how do you feel about it? Is there some traction? Because this will inspire like the podcast listeners to share, because what happens when you share? So
So that's a brilliant question. And in fact, that exactly is one of the reason why I think these kind of initiatives which you have taken, Amit, of bringing the L&D fraternity together or HR fraternity, maybe you will have a larger scope of business people also joining you in these conversations of SIP. iMocha SIP. I like the SIP. SIP typically systematic investment planning. This is the planning for your future and building your skills. So I think that kind of creation of space is important. And to answer your question specifically, how I feel about it, there are two reasons why I do. One is a very personal reason and a very, you can say, selfish reason also, because of my personal growth and opportunity learn. When I was working on one of the projects in Atos, in addition to my day job, I was doing an additional activity, being ambassador for social collaboration initiative, which was a global initiative. I was working for my job description was about a local role. That is what my job was. But I just raised my hand and I said that I will also contribute part time whenever I get a chance in the global program. Now, what happened by that in that social collaboration program, we that time had a internal, like the way we have Teams now, or some people have Yammer and other enterprise social networks. That time we had an enterprise social network by name Blue Kiwi. It is early 2012, 2013, I'm saying.
okay.
And there was a need to promote this. Our then CEO had this dream that we will have a zero email company. Now, it's however absurd it would have sounded that time, and even today maybe, but he created that buzz saying that Atos will be a zero email company. We will not have internal emails. Of course, external clients, customer emails will be there, supplier emails will be there, but internally within ourselves, we will try to bring most of our conversations on internal the enterprise social network. And Blue Kiwi was the platform, and I started being an sharing it. That gave me a lot of visibility and networking at the global level. Now, typically, a India person working with Indian teams had no specific reason to work at the global level other than if they have the need of the work or job. But this particular thing gave me that opportunity. So sharing gave me access to larger network, larger audience. And that in turn resulted in me getting an opportunity to be into learning and development. So you can see how these things can shape up and they can build a kind of visibility of your work and what you are doing. So I am a big promoter of sharing and showing your work. There is a famous book by Austin Kleon. The name of the book itself is Show Your Work.
Okay.
It's a fabulous book. So if people who are listening, I would very well recommend you to read it. And it's a very nice book. It's a square book. Unlike typical books, it is just a square book, and it has a lot of pictures, images, and messages. So Show Your Work is a book, name of the book. And I absolutely believe in that philosophy, because if you are doing a great job and if you are keeping it with yourself, then unfortunately it will not get the required attention as well as the required due, the credit and the due for that work. So in today's world, I think it is equally important to do a good job, but also to share your work. So that is one reason I would say why people should share. And to answer the other part of your question, that how do I feel when people come to me? Absolutely, it's a phenomenal feeling of contributing to people's life, contributing to their journey, listening from them, learning from them as well. It is not only I am giving, they are giving back to me. Yesterday, I was in a call with one of our team members from other team, of course, but he contacted me saying that I keep watching, seeing your posts on LinkedIn. How do you do that? Do you follow any content strategy? Is there any content metrics which you follow? Are there any people who help you or what? So I started sharing that how I created a template on Notion and how I arrange all my posts upfront, how I schedule those posts, how it can help
Wow.
me in coming up with new ideas. So I think people appreciate that, and if people start doing that, the earlier the better, I would say. So don't hesitate, because I know we come from a background of philosophy, especially in India, where we think that talking about our own work is not good. Yeah. People should not talk about their work. We should work, but we should not talk about it. I think that's a very wrong perception which we have. The more we share, many other people will get inspired, and that will also help you in your journey.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Prasanna. I'm a firm believer of sharing while on the journey. And like, in fact, first of all, as you rightly said, it helps you in your personal growth. Second, many times you think that you are promoting yourself, but many times like people get inspired, some tips, and that reduces the hardship for them in certain aspect. So good.
Absolutely.
Good to know this, Prasanna. So, Prasanna, coming back to the topic, my first question will be like you have seen like almost 10 years now, right? And with the advent of skills transformation, AI, and a lot of innovation that is happening in pre-COVID scenario, what is the how is the role of L&D is evolving in this context of workforce transformation currently with your experience?
Yeah. So if we look at the way we were relating to skills and the importance of skills, I think that has been drastically changed in the last few years. One of the reason being the run of the mill kind of programs which we used to have in the past, like a Java.NET program, a series of 3 months of technology. And I'm talking more from software and that technology
Yeah.
because Atos being a IT company, typically you can compare it with another companies like Capgemini or Indian companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro. So in that scenario, we used to have these planned long curriculums which will focus on run of the mill programs, and that was sufficient. And then whenever people move to higher levels, architecture and other, there were specific customized programs created for them. Now I think first and foremost, most of the technologies which we have today are themselves created in the last few years. And that's the reason why you will not find an expert from the years of experience standpoint. You will not have, maybe when we are talking about large language models, say for example, any large language model, if we take Llama or Cloud or from Chat GPT is the OpenAI, any model we take. Now, when the model itself was created in, as you said, during the pandemic times, I typically call it sleepwalking. We were sleepwalking that time. We were not knowing what was happening behind. Every one of us was busy putting masks and taking vaccinations and all. And there was a lot of magic going in the technology world behind. And suddenly it all came up together in 2021 or so. It doesn't mean that AI was not there. It was always there. But still, the applications of it, the real life impact of it started showing up. So I think that has to connect with the L&D strategy itself. So I today cannot sit on a long program and then keep thinking about how I want to launch and all. I have to be agile in creation of the program itself. And when I'm deploying those programs, getting the results out of it, I have to also be very iterative in terms of changing my modules, giving new opportunities for people, creating various, you can say, innovation labs, sandboxes, and other approaches. So that has become more hands-on, giving hands-on experiences to people and deploying them at the fast. That has become critical. And most importantly, I think the time to competency the time to competency. That's why I'm saying that I remember a time when we had our debut programs for 6 months, 9 months debut program. We were taking our own, and it was not like with the wrong intention. They were debuts, they were freshers in the industry. They needed that campus career, what we call as campus to corporate, campus to corporate kind of initial grooming required, and all that was fine. But today we don't have time. So we have to move very fast in building the competencies. So the time to competency and time to skilling has definitely drastically reduced, and we have to cope with that. And for that, we need to leverage again technology.
Yeah, good. So skills has become like a mobile phone, either new or altogether different technology will come every now and then.
Absolutely.
And Prasanna, while doing this, like time to competency and having faster responses, how employees are adopting it? How are they looking at this pace? Because previously they were used to have 3 to 6 months and like training program, batches are running everywhere for a long time, 6 weeks and all. Now they also need to like cope up quickly. So how are they looking at this situation? Are they adopting it easily? Are there new ways of adoption that has emerged? Or like, what is your experience here?
Yeah. So I think there are different categories of people there, and typically we see that innovation curve, right? That innovation curve is there where there are some people who are the early adopters, like they are just waiting before a new launch or new technology comes to market. They are just waiting for that to come so that they can jump on it, try and all. That is just 3 to 5%, if I'm not wrong. That's how the curve goes. Then there are people who are okay, but not very fast, but they are okay to adopt it. So some people fall in that category. So to answer your question, I can very clearly see that graph. There are people who are on top of things and they are upskilling themselves very fast. If required, even reskilling themselves, completely taking up new skills, leaving
Mhm.
behind their old legacy. But then there are people who are still stuck with that mindset of first problem is denial. How
Okay.
can
Yeah.
things change, right? That's what we talk about in the change management process also. The first phase is denial. This can't happen. AI can't come. At least it should not come till 2030. At least it should not come till my retirement. So that denial phase is something which some people are still dealing with. But on the other side, there are people who are also moving very fast. So I think the message is very clear. If we don't change fast, it is going to be a problem for all of us. So those people who are willing to, and that will is something one has to bring. Rest as a organization, the company can support you with learning platforms. It can give you new learning technologies, but the willingness to learn, the ability to have continuous learning, the mindset of learning, I think that is very important, and it's important in all fields. I'm sure you and I are learning on a daily basis.
Yeah. And Prasanna, any change in like consuming learning programs through e-learning programs? Like nowadays, YouTube is flooded, like Coursera's of the world, Udemy's of the world, plural sites of the world have created so many programs. Many people buy their own courses, right? So there is a on-the-job learning, there is classroom, virtual instructor-led training programs, plus e-learning program. So is like again that depends on person to person what are their preferences, or there is something which is working more than others.
Correct, got your question. So I think the one thing, of course, as you rightly said, there will be preference to preference. Some people like visual learning, some people like auditory. So a person can learn also on audio podcast. There are people who just put on audio podcast and then they learn through audio listening. There are people who need visuals, graphs, colors to learn. So that's one part of it. But then not to give that generic answer of like everyone will have their own skill. To answer your question in terms of is there something which is getting more traction? That part is, I think, adaptive learning. Adaptive
Okay.
learning is something which we introduced in Atos a few years back when we were having a work with Micro Hill Education. So Micro Hill Education had come up with the adaptive learning platform, which was working on metacognition, which means it will not only teach me, it will immediately do assessment of what I am learning, and then it checks my confidence on my answer. So if you
Okay.
ask me, for example, what is the capital of India? I will say Mumbai, which is the wrong answer, but I will say Mumbai. And then your next question is, how confident are you? I will say I'm 100% confident. Now it will take me to a different track of learning altogether. So my knowledge base after that, the path will be changed for Prasanna. The same question will be asked to Amit. Amit, what is the capital of India? You answer New Delhi. The next question it will ask is how confident you are. You will say, yeah, I am very much confident it is New Delhi. Then it will take you to a different path of learning. So you will not end up spending your time on capitals of countries and all, or you will spend lesser time than me because it will understand that, oh, Prasanna is way behind. His learning curve is little longer than Amit. So he has to move in this direction. So this is a brilliant technology. Of course, those were the early days when that was adopted. Now I think there are various platforms which are trying to bring this adaptive learning. And I am sure because in today's world, when content is like everywhere, it is not only limited, as you said, to some of the MOOC platforms or the Udemy's of the world or the Coursera's of the world or edX of the world. It is on YouTube. You switch on YouTube, you will get the best of best content available.
Yeah.
So when there is a bombardment of content, I want my learning journey to be curated to me, Prasanna, personally, based on my knowledge base, my cognitive skills, and my learning abilities. Now, just imagine if that is possible, and that is possible today. So when that is possible, I think that creates a lot of new possibilities and a magic for the learner because I will not end up spending time on wrong things which I already know and I use it for the things which we really want to learn. And we have very powerfully used this, Amit, for all our so-called mandatory programs. Typically, in organizations, we have certain mandatory courses. Now, what
Yeah.
happens is every year it is compulsory for you to do the program. Security, code of ethics. So these are the programs. Now you will say, "Ah, I'm there for 14 years in this company. Every year I'm doing this. Why should I again spend 1 hour or 1.5 hour on this same program? So this adaptive learning will help you. It will take a very basic assessment of you. If you are good in that, it will take you in a path where it will be just 10 minutes or 15 minutes and your program is done. It will just refresh you, you can say, with the new things it has put, with the
Okay.
new updates, etc. That's it. Otherwise, it would have been a boring exercise and people then just keep clicking the frames and it's no fun then. And learning has to be fun.
Yeah, perfect. Got it, Prasanna. And Prasanna, like for mandatory program, my question is not for mandatory program, but for other programs where like this personalized learning journey are crafted in adaptive manner for employees. How are you tying it with for the business alignment so that they are learning something not only as an aspiration, but it should create some value and value for the company, and they should be able to deploy. So are you using any innovative L&D strategies here, anything effective here to tie it with business alignment I'm talking about?
Correct. So this is the most important question, I would say, and let me be very honest and straight to the point with you, Amit, on this, rather than telling you what is the ideal situation. Because ideal situation, we both can keep speaking for many hours and we can discuss. But reality is, we are still working on it. To be very honest with you, because we ourselves have adopted all our job profiles, our job families, roles, the taxonomy, as we keep saying in the career development world, was created many years ago. Now, with skills being on the forefront, it has to be re-looked at. When we are doing that exercise, and that's a big exercise which we are doing, and it is not a button press exercise, to be very honest with you, because for that, we need to get it validated with the business, as you rightly said. Business has to agree that whatever skills we are talking are connected with our portfolio, which we are
Yeah.
selling to our customers. If I am selling to my customer something which is not mapped to the skill which I want to build in my organization, then there is a big mismatch, and then I will not be able to do justice to both the things. So we are in the process of working towards creating a new, you can say, career framework, to use the word. So we are reworking on our career framework. We are re-looking at the job descriptions. We are getting into the details, and we have the business sponsorship for that. So we want the champions from the business side to spend their time review it, because typically, unless and until the supply side and the demand side match in terms of skills and from a workforce management standpoint also, it will not work. So that's the exercise which we are going through. It is not fully done yet, but we are continuously working. And it has been a long exercise now. For 6, 7 months, we have spent our time, energy, and created this asset, you can say, which will
Yeah.
be a gold mine for us. On top of that, we will be building more things.
Yeah, and it won't be static because I understand this
It
space.
won't be.
Yeah,
Yeah, dynamic skill building, as we say, that's
yeah.
the mantra there.
And it is no more only skill taxonomy, it is skill ontology, and that too dynamic skills ontology. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
And like once this skills management framework, like definitely it's a question for the future, maybe from 6 months from now. Once this skills management framework and career framework and dynamic skills ontology you are able to map and do it, how important it will be to validate it, like in terms of, because many
Yeah.
times it's claimed skills or skills that are like aspirational or just put in with biases either by employees or by managers. Okay,
Yeah.
so what role validation will play here and how do you think about it?
Brilliant question again, Amit. I will tell you why. Because without validation, there is a possibility of we running with the trends.
Yeah.
We will assume that now, see, buzzword today is AI. Buzzword today is cloud computing. The buzzword today is maybe DevOps. So if we keep only focusing on that, we may end up missing on the things which our customer wants. So validation and revalidation coming from right from the customer to the business and relooking at it and tying up with our learning systems and creating the learning paths is very important. I can tell you a few examples. Like for example, one of the contracts for learning content creation, or sorry, learning content for us is with mainframes.
Mhm.
Now, many financial institutes, financial organizations, banking companies, they still are into mainframes and they want to continue. Some of them have done reverse migration. So there are different stories around that. So I'm not kidding. So we have a tie-up with a supplier to provide us on mainframe trainings, and it's in huge demand. It's in huge demand. So the point which you made is very important to ongoingly relook at it rather than just running behind the trends, because running behind trends will make us miss some of the things which our customers really want. So ongoingly looking at it is very critical.
Got it. Got it. And Prasanna, like, is it like you must have like spent time in having a learning culture, continuous learning culture within the organization, and how it impacts organization success, and are you able to achieve it as an organization? And would you like to share something which will help others to have a continuous learning culture, plus how it impacts organization success?
Absolutely. So first, I will tell you some of the nuts and bolts which we have today in our learning ecosystem or larger ecosystem. I would not even limit it to a L&D functions job, honestly, because it culture, when you say learning culture, it cannot be limited to one team or one
Yeah.
function. So I think in Atos specifically, the learning culture is so strong that irrespective of the ups and downs as an organization we go through, and we have gone through in the last couple of years
Yeah.
at least, we have gone through huge ups and downs. So one of the prominent thing which stays with people and which keeps the employees connected with the organization, one of the key things is learning. It has been the culture of learning. It has been the culture of support which they get for learning certification. So Amit, year on year, we have been contributing or creating, you can say, around 100,000 certifications.
Oh,
100, I'm saying
wow.
100,000 certifications year on year. Even in this year, closure of 2024, we are at 105,000 certifications, total certifications.
Wow, it's a
Yeah.
big
So
thing.
that itself says a lot, because people clearly see that there is a huge support when it comes to their learning, growth, certification, that journey. And I think that culture then is interlocking. It's like a self-fulfilling to that culture and nature, because then what happens is some of the programs which we have, like learning carnivals, which we create, or
Mhm.
we have one famous program which we called as employee-led employee engagement program. ELE
Oh,
program is what we call it
interesting.
in a short form, ELEE. So what happens there is, if you are an expert in any technology or some things, some of the times we are not even restricted to technology. Say you are good in meditation and mindfulness also. We have no
Okay.
problem. You conduct one hour session, half an hour session, and let anybody from anywhere across globe can join that session. They can learn from you. Now that creates a learner generated kind of a content also. So you are learning and you are also contributing to the organization and to larger audience. So I think these kind of initiatives have definitely been helpful to our organization in building this learning culture. And people are fundamentally clear that when it comes to learning, we will get the required support. There is no stoppage there.
Okay. So they believe in like the learning culture and
Absolutely.
contribute from both the side. Like they consume even and contribute.
Yeah, because one is, as you rightly use the word, it is one is to believe from within.
Yeah.
And one is to just show on the walls of the building. That's a different thing. But then, because as we can keep learning as a value also, but that is just to put on the charts to show your customers. But then employees believing that, no, I personally believe, I have experienced that. When it comes to learning, I get the required support. I think that counts a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Looks like Prasanna, the culture of Atos, the learning culture and the sharing culture is what you adopted in your own mid-career reinventing. Like looks like it's a culture given by the organization where you built more on it, on the top of it, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. And Prasanna, like how you measure the effectiveness of all your L&D initiative, because there are so many L&D initiative, and that too organization with 100,000 plus people, right? Different initiatives running for different department, different team, different views, different locations. So how do you measure the effectiveness and how you take that feedback back into your L&D strategy?
Correct. So in some of the cases, like honestly, Amit, there are various models which are used, like the Kirkpatrick model to find out the return on investment of
Yeah.
learning, etc. So what we have been, or the philosophy has been, more to look from a business standpoint. What is the impact on the business? Are the business leaders finding it working for them? So skill to bill is one of the initiative which has been there in Atos as an organization. It is the thing which we got from our collaboration with the Sintel organization when we integrated with Sintel. It was an initiative which was used in Sintel. Now that can be a very important matrix to see whether your skilling is resulting in your billing. So you
Mhm.
clearly can see that. The other initiative is ready to deploy. I think these are the kind of measures which are more important, and these KPIs will give you a clear indication whether your learning initiatives and programs are working or they need any further tweaking, updation, etc. When it comes to return on investment or any other such plans, we have not done much on that. We look at it learning as an investment in itself. So not to look at, because most of the times then gets into a number game. And if those big numbers, if you talk to a HR person, maybe they will hear it. If you talk to a finance paper person, he will say, show me this money on the table. So that conversation will not be helpful for anyone.
Yeah. So basically, you have focused more on impact, fourth module of Kirkpatrick ROF learning module.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I know that model well, because many of our customers are using it. So an impact you see in terms of deployment and in terms of the delivery of that person, like, or that code, what has been trained on something. So it's a very good from at least IT consulting, IT services perspective, because ultimately it's the outcome, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Prasanna, these are the questions from my side. Anything you would like to share as a L&D leader in innovation, in transformation, in anything you think that the audience should know?
I think more than me sharing, because I have already shared some of the things, I would like to know from you, Amit, like what are the trends which you are observing when you are interacting with different organizations and some of your customers and etc. And your personal reading and learning also. So I would really like to learn when it comes to the problem which I have shared with you about skills and how we are building the career framework, etc. In those domains, what's the new thing happening and what is it that we should all be aware of?
Yeah. So Prasanna, there are like two clear-cut like things what we see, because we have IT consulting customers, even like many of the names taken by you, and like I won't take their names, but I would say we have 90 plus IT consulting companies across the globe whom we are serving, and of which few of them are 100,000 plus employees. So there is a different path or objective for IT consulting or any company which is working on projects. Okay. And for other companies, like which are non-project based companies, including software development, in terms of product companies or banking, their thinking or approach towards solving this problem is different. So I'll park it for the future. But in IT consulting companies, what we have seen is talent deployment, talent redeployment is of prime thing which they would like
Importance.
to solve. Okay. Importance. And their business, like they have limited bench and they would like to clear bench as quickly as possible. And at the same time, they would like to have the client NPS or the client happiness at the max. Okay. So they don't want to put anyone in front of customer who is not a fit. More like if customer is choosing a employee or a employee within hardly any iteration, then that's a high NPS for them. So here what we are seeing is quality skill data is paramount for them. If they are able to find out quality skill data, so many of our companies, like what you are doing, are creating skills management framework to certain extent. Okay. And once that is done, they are validating skills through variety of ways. Okay. Like so few people have tried it with and successful with self-rating and manager approval. Okay. But again, it may carry some biases. Okay. But yes, they're trying it. Few of them have taken skill assessment mode, where when they are, so every job profile within the organization is converted into skill profile and there is a test attached to it. So they are using skill assessment, which is a synchronous way. And as you said, few people are very innovators, early adopters, so they are taking it. Interestingly, recently in last 6 months, we found out a third approach. So first approach is human centric, which is self-rating and manager rating. Third one is employee centric, if they would like to take an assessment. And this works great if that person is nearing a project completion or is on bench. So they have a like a necessity to validate themselves in terms of skill assessment or in terms of self-rating and manager approval. So they're adopting it because they need a newer and better project now. For rest of the guys, companies are adopting a very different approach where they are inferring skills from variety of sources. Okay. Now, one of them is certification. As you said, like one of our big company, again, 100,000 plus employee company, they have their own technologies even within it's not totally an IT consulting, but part of it, some 70,000 employees on IT consulting and others on some other businesses. So they are inferring skills through AI with human in the loop for all the certifications, and they're inferring skills periodically. Okay. Then they are running AI inferences on the project data. Okay. Some of them are running AI inference on the learning history.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So with all this multi-channel skills validation, what they are trying to do is trying to have the quality skills data so that deployment can be faster, more appropriate. They get better fulfillment in terms of rate, in terms of availability. At the same time, customers are very happy because whoever is working on the project is a job fit candidate for that job role what he needs. At the same time, all these channel skills validation have different parameters. Some organization is giving only 10% to skills inference through AI. Some organizations are giving more weightage, so there is a weightage to it. So they are trying, and I would say still, like everything is not solved, but few organizations are ahead. They are able to do it more. Few people are doing it for niche technologies. Few people are doing it for Javas and .NETs of the world. So different companies are adopting differently depending on where they are into that journey.
Understood. Yeah, but it's a brilliant approach. I agree with you. Maybe these are the early days and yet to see the outcome and results of it, but I think this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, maybe one last question from my side, if it is okay.
Yeah.
It would not be a completion of the podcast if we don't talk about AI in 2025. So how are you looking at AI, both as a technology for your platform, how you would like to leverage it, and how other organizations maybe are doing it?
Sure. So, Prasanna, thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about it. So, like in all our all hands, okay, yesterday we had one for the new year. Every month from last 18 months, I have been taking 10 minutes on AI and AI updates. Okay. So, as a part of the strategy, and with our 200 people, we imbibe it. We started using AI for doing our daily task first. That was our first step. And I'm so happy that there is not even a single digit number of people in our organization who are not using AI. Every team is using AI for doing some or other work. The list is refining their emails. Okay, fine. That second thing, we have used AI to power use cases for skills management. For example, now we have tied up with Lightcast and we have our own skills ontology based on ONIT framework and Singapore skills framework, where we have created it through AI. Okay. So we use AI in updating skills taxonomy, then converting skill taxonomy into skills ontology. Every job role will be converted into what are the primary skills and proficiency required, what are the secondary skills, what are the power skills that are required. And might be we are the only company who don't restrict skills only at the skill level, but we go to proficiency level even. So we are using AI here, but at the same time we have human in the loop, subject matter experts in the loop to verify it. So creating skills ontology is the second thing. Then we have invested heavily into AI to find out the related skills, because one skill, one framework, like for example, Abatis, Struts, and MVC, both are frameworks, right?
Yeah.
You might have worked on something that talks something that you know something about this framework, and you will be quickly upskilled on others. So on related skills, we have spent significantly. Then we have used AI in capability to skills mapping. Many times when you run L&D program, it may be run on skills level, but many a time you would like to run, and like because of AI, there are some capabilities that are impacted. For example, take QA roles. There are a lot of automation happening in QA through AI. Okay, and that is happening on some capabilities, and that capability may have 4-5 skills, right? So mapping this again, we are using AI. Okay,
fantastic.
Then we are working on getting resume, and not resume parsing, but resume AI skill match, to match it with the AI inference. Learning history, getting it, having AI inference. Certification, having, so we have created a certification ontology. Okay, for a few companies, like what does that mean if somebody has achieved a certification? Okay, we are inferencing skills through learning history to project management system, all through AI. And there is an AI skill match, skill inference, and skills management layer within iMocha. So this is our journey where we have completion so far while adopting AI. Now we are investing in 2025 on co-pilots and couple of agents in AI. But being a skills intelligence company, which is not into workflow, we rely on PSA tools, Oracles of the world, NetSuite of the world. we are investing more into co-pilots, where we'll be able to help different business users, different employees. Instead of they going, will help them in taking skills intelligence decisions day in day out. So you may consider us to be in 2025 an AI skill assistant. You will ask, hey, so I'm running a program on skill. You will write that skill program and ask, in my location, how many people can I invite? And they have a skill gap, and it will give you, hey, these are the list of employees, and make your learning programs accordingly. So we are currently working on AI co-pilots. Agents, we are not able to come up with anything so far, being not into workflow, but from using AI to powering it at skills management, skills inferencing, and skill validation level, we are going to co-pilot now.
Fantastic. No, I like all the points which you mentioned, especially the one which is related to the related skills part, or the adjacent skills, as we say. I think when we are talking about reskilling of people or even cross skilling of some other people, I think having these related skills done, like if they have worked on one framework, the basics are there with them, so they can easily navigate to a different framework. So those kind of examples, I'm sure, would definitely be very helpful in reducing the skill gaps.
So Prasanna, I'll just tell you an example. There is a company, a non-IT company with 14,000 people, people in US.
Okay.
Fine. And because of many business decision, they were looking for talent optimization. Okay.
Hmm.
And they came up with some list quickly within 4 months. Okay, from start to end, we were able to help them that how many of them can be redeployed quickly to the current business needs, and they were able to redeploy 86% of the population they were thinking to optimize, and that helped them in solving acquisition cost, onboarding cost. People were already matured with the companies were for a long, and they were so happy, like and they were able to redeploy it for the future use cases, different departments. And it was internal mobility, not only vertical and horizontal, but diagonally.
True. Yeah. No, I get that
Yeah.
completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So I think this is what I would wanted to have discussion and conversation with you. But I really learned equally when I was sharing from my side. It was equally a learning opportunity for me, Amit. So thanks
Yeah,
for sharing that.
thanks for that, Prasanna. So with this, we are done with this podcast. Thanks, Prasanna, a lot for joining us in and sharing your views, and sharing what to share, how to share, why to share.
Importance of sharing. Yeah.
Importance of sharing. Stay so we have learned a lot, and we'll be soon coming up with the next podcast on iMocha skills intelligence, iMochaSIP. And Prasanna, it's iMochaSIP. So one is systematic investment plan, plus it is Mocha is a coffee and it's a sip. You can.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Prasanna. Thanks.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks.